In last week's video, I launched into a rant about how pre-season tours in general have become a money-making exercise, disguised as a chance to improve the fitness of a bunch of players that never stop playing football, and a group of fans who have to get up at all times of the night to watch their side during the season are then rinsed by greedy owners who sell them a rough facsimile of a product that isn't quite what these same fans have been led to believe they were getting. This video came on the back of a short video I did bemoaning the hysterical reaction of fan channels and so-called influencers to a meaningless pre-season game. Their reliance on any game that doesn't end in a convincing 5-0 win being portrayed as the end of days that can only be kept at bay by sacrificing a manager or a player, while tedious at the best of times, is irritating as fucking pre-season. I didn't stay up till 3 in the morning to watch the Arsenal game because I knew I wasn't missing anything. I didn't get up at 3 o'clock on Thursday morning for the Betis game for the same reasons. If I do find myself awake at that time of night, it's because I'm old and I need a piss, and not because I want to run the rule over just how good our pressing game out of possession is. Instead, last Saturday I got up at a normal time and watched the highlights of the Arsenal game while lying in bed like a normal person. In those 15 minutes of highlights, my review of the game boiled down to several things. 1. My belief that the away kit, which was formed the second I saw the leaks of the kit months ago, looks like a T20 cricket kit, was bang on the money. If Lancashire cricket team come out with a banging kit that looks like a football's kit, I'm going to be well pissed off. 2. That Rasmus Højlund is going to be a monster of a forward as he gets more experience playing top class football and realises that a player with his build is more than capable of knocking most centre halves all over the shop if the mood takes him. And he will. We just need to let time and Ruud van Nistelrooy do their work. Oh, and that young Rasmus might be a little bit injury prone. He was signed with an injury, got one in mid-season, and now has another. If it was Martial, some would be wanting him sold. Number 3. Andre Onana takes enforced pre-season penalty competitions after you've already lost the game in 90 minutes with the same degree of seriousness as I take the opinion of Graham Souness on any black player who has played for Man United. Hell, his opinion on any Man United player, to be honest. To see Onana standing 3 foot off his right hand post as Arsenal players lined up on the halfway line like it was a World Cup final was the highlight of the highlights for me. And number 4. In Lenny Euro, we have a player with all the skills that could enable him to become the rightful heir to Rafa Varane and take up a centre-half spot for both the French national team and Man United for the next 15 years. Let's hope that's where the similarities end and they don't extend to Varane's fondness for a treatment table or two. I jest, of course. Other than that and the wankfest over the stadium, what else was there to take from it? Please let me know in the comments if you saw more in the game than I did. Before we move on to the Betis game, we also need to mention the fact that Arsenal's most promising youth team prospect has opted to leave the perennial runners-up, turn down the opportunity to play for a host of German teams, and sign for United because he can see a path to the first team with us. As if confirmation was needed that not only are fans feeling optimistic about the changes being made at United, but so are promising and potentially world-class players. More of this, please. It's 3 AM on Thursday, and the familiar sound of a team being knocked together to cover injuries can be heard in San Diego as United confirm that Rasmus is out for 6 weeks and young Len could be out for twice that. As for me, well, I've been in bed for 3 hours and I was still there another 4 hours later, so let's see what my review of the highlights brings up. Number 1. United really seem to be getting their head around this whole pressing thing. Now, I'm well aware of United's ability to do something well for 30 minutes before deciding that it seems like a lot of work and sacking it off, but the last 3 games appear to show a more natural approach, and rather than having to think about it, they just seem to be going and doing it all at the same time. It's early days, I know, but it's something, and by God I'm going to cling on to it. Number 2. Our wide players have started pre-season well, and very well in Ahmad's case. Currently, Ahmad is a highlight reel in real time. He hasn't played very much or for very long, but when he does, we see the best of him in those brief glimpses. But over the last few weeks, he's been getting more game time and still looks good. Consequently, he has to start the season. Number 3. Rashford seems to have come back to training looking a damn sight more interested and happy than he did at any point last season. He looks less like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders and more like somebody who's actually pleased to be where he is. Whether this is down to changes in mentality or just happy to have a friend back at the club, we'll never know, but it's nice to see him without a face like a smacked ass all the time. And 4. The numbers on the Betis kit are probably the most interesting I've seen in quite some time. In an age where Noel Gallagher's creating the font for City's kit is considered news, I'm going to say his kiddie scroll pales in comparison. And with that, we now have one last game in the States against the Scousers before coming home, so let's see if we survive that unscathed. See you next week.